Some nights, my Jerry has a hard time getting to sleep, and the next morning he feels really tired. I can tell. And you know what I did? I got him to try Sominex. Sominex is really good. Now when he has trouble falling asleep, Sominex helps him relax and feel drowsy.
A good night's sleep does make a difference, and Sominex can help you get it.
After a good night's sleep, not only does he feel all rested and refreshed, he really looks it.
Congress reacted today to the killings in Munich. Both houses unanimously passed a resolution calling for the isolation of countries that harbor terrorists. Senator McGovern told the Southern California Board of Rabbis today that Egypt and Lebanon are to blame for the 11 Israeli deaths. McGovern was campaigning in Los Angeles last night when he got word of the killings. ABC's Frank Reynolds reports.
At an outdoor rally last night, a highly partisan crowd, expecting a partisan speech, instead was given a sermon by a politician who was once a minister.
This is not a good night for a political speech. It is a night for quiet contemplation on the part of human beings all around this world. I have no careful solutions to offer. I don't have anything strikingly new to say, but what does need to be said with new force tonight is stop the killing. Stop the killing everywhere around the world.
This morning, McGovern spoke to a group of rabbis. One challenged him to say whether he really meant to compare terrorists in Munich with American pilots in Vietnam.
What I was trying to do, Rabbi, was to express my own horror and indignation over the kind of killing that is taking place in various parts of the world, but especially in Vietnam. My conscience can't live with the kind of pictures we had in the press here a few weeks ago, these little children running from a bombed-out school. Now, I know that the pilot that dropped that napalm is on a different moral level than the terrorist who killed those young men in Munich on yesterday. I personally can't live with the kind of situation that we now have in Southeast Asia, where tens of thousands of innocent people are being killed, however inadvertently, by an American military involvement that I think is against the best traditions of this country and which I think are not in the interest of the people of Vietnam.
This is Frank Reynolds, ABC News, Los Angeles.
I'll be back with more news in a moment.
Four beautiful new cars from Subaru. The two-door sedan, the new four-door, the station wagon, and the Subaru GL Coupe. Every Subaru has front-wheel drive and rack and pinion steering. They really handle. They've got the power to cruise at high speed and deliver up to 30 miles per gallon on regular. Subaru, for people who know all about imports, for people who never considered one.
Open a jar? Simple. Except when arthritis flares up. With pain and its stiffness. For help, reach for Anacin. With the pain reliever, doctors prescribe most for arthritis. When even simple movement can cause pain, Anacin relieves minor pain, and so eases stiffness for hours, brings more freedom of movement without pain. Minutes after taking Anacin, the joy of doing simple things returns. Anacin.
I wish there were an easier way to get these walls clean.
Now there is Big Wally, the new foaming action wall washer. Big Wally gets down under the dirt and lifts it right off the wall.
Big Wally cleans without all that mixing and scrubbing.
And no rinsing.
One can does all four walls fast.
Big Wally lifts the dirt right off the wall.
When we bought that big old house, the paneling looked so dull and dingy. But new Liquid Regard saved us.
Liquid Regard conditions. Its organic oil restores the beauty of paneling, even helps hide scratches. Liquid Regard also removes stubborn dirt with ease. and gives cabinets a new glow.
Regard gave our wood paneling a beautiful new look.
New Liquid Regard Wood Panel Conditioner.
The Southern Governors Conference has been in session this week on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. Today, the conference elected Alabama Governor George Wallace as chairman and Governor Melvin Evans of the Virgin Islands, a black man, as vice chairman. The governors have worked on issues, but their prime interest has been politics. ABC's David Snell, who has spent 3 days with the Southern Governors, reports on what's been happening.
In their work sessions, the governors discuss such things as land use and law enforcement, environment and education. But most of their time was taken up with play and a bit of politics. The play was about equally divided between golf and tennis, where Oklahoma's David Hall had the best serve, Florida's Ruben Askew the best ground strokes. Politically, attention was focused on the presidential campaign by the appearance Sunday night of Senator George McGovern. He had come, he said, to renew acquaintances, which he did in private before talking to newsmen.
I didn't ask for any commitments. No one said they wouldn't endorse me either.
What no one told McGovern on Sunday night seemed implicit in the statements of most governors during the next 3 days. A few did promise support, but none predicted the senator would win a southern state.
We're in the South that I'm informed and listening to the informed people. The senator's in trouble in the South, in deep trouble.
It's very difficult to say right now what's going to happen on November 7th. I don't think there's any question but what the gap's going to be closer than it was that it's showing in the polls right now. It's a tremendous gap to close, though.
I think it's highly unlikely that Nixon could lose any of the Deep South states.
Alabama's George Wallace, eliminated from the presidential sweepstakes by a bullet in Laurel, Maryland, declined to predict or endorse, but indicated he would, or at least might.
I'm sure that I'll take a position. Of course, a position might be that I won't take a position, but...
The man most happy with the vibrations here this week was the president's top advisor on Southern politics, Harry Dent.
Well, they haven't been jumping on the McGovern bandwagon, and for one prime reason. They can't find anybody in the South, particularly, who is for George McGovern. It's a very unpopular thing to do. It would be kind of a kamikaze suicide mission to get out front of the George McGovern bandwagon because it isn't going anywhere in the South.
The political bandwagon that does seem to be going somewhere in the South, or at least its first trumpet, descended on Hilton Head last night. Vice President Agnew exuding confidence but refusing to proclaim the South in the Republican bag.
George McGovern says that he intends to wage a national campaign, that he has not written off the South. But the word from this conference is that with only a few exceptions, the governors have written it off for him, that most of them intend to watch the national campaign from the safety of the sidelines. David Snell, ABC News, Hilton Head, South Carolina.
I'll have more news in a moment.
Here you are. Oh, hi, I'm Arlene Francis. Oh, today was made for heartburn, indigestion. What do I do about it? Look, 3 leading antacids, 2 roll types, and 1 little tablet. But this little Phillips tablet is concentrated, so it consumes more acid than either of the others. Oh, I know I have lots of days like today. When it happens to you, why don't you do what I do? Take the little ones, Phillips tablets. They're packed with strength.
What a lovely way to start the morning, cool and clean, and you stay fresh all day. Yes, that's the way it is when you use Dial. Aren't you glad you use Dial? Don't you wish everybody did? Aren't you glad you use Dial?
In other news, there was heavy fighting in 3 areas of South Vietnam today between government and communist troops. South Vietnamese forces continued their slow, difficult drive to oust North Vietnamese troops from a bunker complex in Quang Tri. 100 miles to the south, communist troops overran a strategic hill 10 miles from the Quay San Valley. That valley is the gateway to Da Nang. In the air war, Navy fighter bombers ranged along the North Vietnamese coast from Haiphong to about 200 miles to the south, leaving supply dumps, fuel dumps, and barracks in flames. Iceland, in an effort to protect its cod fishing industry, has expanded its ban on foreign fishing boats from a 12-mile limit offshore to 60 miles offshore. British and West German boats, who have for a long time fished in waters now off limits, have defied the ban. Yesterday, an Icelandic Coast Guard boat cut the trawler lines of a British boat, and the British ambassador protested. Today, Iceland rejected the protest. So far, the Icelanders have shown restraint in that they have not carried out threats to board offending foreign vessels and to arrest the crews. In Santiago, Chile today, police used nightsticks, tear gas, and water cannon to break up fights between police and high school students protesting against the left-wing government of President Allende. Last night, in a major policy speech, Allende said that Chile would be wrecked if his government's overthrown. I'll have tonight's comment in a moment.
If men were all the same and all they wanted was a really well-built shoe for the lowest possible price, we'd have it easy at JCPenney. But men are anything but all the same. So this is what we've done. We've put all our famous JCPenney value into tough harness boots. Handsome side zip boots, just $18.99. New looks like high heels, two-tones, suedes, hikers from $12.99, and hundreds more. Each one built as if it were the only JCPenney shoe. No matter who you are, we know what you're looking for.
This is an important election not only for me, but for those of you in this city.
Our candidate is confident she won't be embarrassed by loose dentures when she talks, because Orifix denture adhesive holds and keeps holding to help her speak clearly.
As for my honorable opponent, well, I'd like to make this crystal clear.
Our ingenious ingredient helps spread Orifix evenly so you get a tight seal that holds your dentures.
Thank you.
Orifix helps you speak clearly without embarrassment. Use Orifix, the seal of confidence.
The atrocity that slashed the face of the Olympics yesterday produced all sorts of apocalyptic comments, some of them mine, about a sick, worsening world with mad men out of control. Well, a sober second-day reading suggests that the opposite may be truer. The incident was kamikaze in nature, what the Japanese did when all was lost and they knew it, and only the suicidal, pseudo-heroic gesture remained, the fanatics urged to meet death with a bang and not a whimper. What will be the practical effects? Will it make Israel soften? 1,000 times no, quite the opposite. For a while yesterday, there were fears it would stop the Olympic Games, but it hasn't. That deprives the gesture of a wider grandeur its perpetrators no doubt hoped for. Will it intensify the Arabs' resolve for a new trial of arms with Israel? Well, in the Middle East, you can't be sure, but I doubt it. When Hussein destroyed his guerrillas, when Sadat expelled the Russians, both tacitly opted for negotiation. Without the guerrillas' fanaticism and without the Russian army, force is impossible. Every sign is Hussein and Sadat are moving towards a settlement, though doing it octopus-like, covering retreat from force with a cloud of defiant ink. Admittedly, the crisis has lasted in the Middle East so long it may be a while a-dying, so there may be more kamikaze gestures. But in the end, sheer weariness with a crisis that has long outlasted any national interest is going to prevail in the Middle East, as it will in Vietnam. That's tonight's news, and to comment, I'm Howard K. Smith. Good night.
School's open. The Nashville Middle Tennessee Automobile Club and WSIX urge you to drive carefully. WSIX, the community-minded station.
The High Chaparral traces the adventures of the Cannon family in their struggle to maintain a cattle ranch. Weeknights at 10 on Channel 8.
Here in Nashville.